Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the December 19th, Los Angeles, PBS NewsHour, Politico, debate number 6, Andrew Yang, and an opportunity that he has specifically to have a real talk moment in this next debate, right? So we're coming up quick on that December 19th date. I'm very, very excited. I'm so proud of Andrew Yang. I know I've been starting every video with this, and but I'm just so proud of him. I mean, he outpaced Kamala Harris. He outpaced Marianne Williamson. He outpaced Michael. You guys remember Michael Bennett? Man, like he outpaced Tulsi Gabbard. Like he's just zoomed past all these other opponents. He's outperformed Michael Bloomberg. He is, Michael Bloomberg has not been able to make a single debate yet, hasn't been able to meet a single criteria for any of the debates. He has defeated just so many, Andrew Yang has really just defeated so many opponents, right? I'm a huge fan of Conan the Barbarian. And he'd just get out there and, if a foe was in front of him, he'd pick up whatever he had and just take that foe down. And that's what Andrew Yang is doing politically. He is just wrecking fools left and right, and it is incredibly exciting, and I am so excited for this week's debate. I just can't wait, right? So I'm very, very excited, right? But one of the things is when you make the debates, you get to make maneuvers, right? You get to make your chess moves, right? You get to move your queen, you get to move your rook, you get to move your knight, whereas if you ain't sitting at the board, you ain't got nothing, right? And so it's a big deal, right? And I'm just really excited for these opportunities. So today, what I want to talk about is I want to whip through every single December 19th, Los Angeles, PBS NewsHour, Politico, debate number 6 foe, right? And give you the real talk that Andrew Yang can deliver by candidate so he can have these loaded up. And I'm going to put the language here. Him and his team are welcome to it, right? Or they can, they can toast their own version of it, right? And so they could, I'm going to leave the language here, and then he can modify this anyway. And the way he can use this is he can drop this in, use any of these lines on any of the opponents, right? Or he could use his opening or his closing statement or any moment where he has a good bit of time to drop all of them real quick, right? And because I think there's a very real talk moment that needs to be had. Now I'm going to give you the insert for every single opponent, right? But let's talk about the macro span, right? The macro issue, right? And that is, there is a very real conversation that is being had, not with words, right? But with policies and with choices and with interviews and with coverage. And, and this choice is happening with the Democrat voters, with the DNC, with the media, right, who really are very involved in picking who's going to be president, right, doing their best to point people this way and not that way and obscure this and reveal that, and they're very in the mix, right, and everybody wants, but there's overall, people who are involved in choosing the Democrat primary race candidate and choosing who is the Democrats are going to run in the general, right. There's this real conversation that I think is being had without words. There's a ton of conversations that happen without words, right? And that conversation is, hey, do we want to yammer for the next 11 months and hear a whole bunch of pretty words and get to say whatever we want and get the media to cover it and really move the conversation for the American people and straight lose big time November 2020, right? Do we want to just use this as a conversation platform and lose? And I'm telling you, or do we actually want to win this election, right? And the reality is, I'm convinced there are a ton of Democrats. They sit in the voter bloc, they sit in the DNC, and they sit in the media who very, very much are considering losing, right? And losing hard, right? And the reason why is they like to talk a lot. Now, I'm in that boat too. I talk every day for 20 minutes to you people, and I like to talk, right? But people like to be heard, right? And they want to be able to say what they're going to say, right? And there is no bigger platform than the presidential campaign. People listen. The world listens, right? It's big. You can use it as an amplifying megaphone, right? And I think a lot of Democrats want to use this 11 months to say what they want to say and not have to deal with any of the actual things you would need to do to actually win an election, right? But just spout their nonsense and lose hardcore in November 2020, right? Because you know what you're going to have to do to win in November 2020? You are not going to do it with the Dem base. You are not, right? You have got to go and steal 5 to 15% of Trump's voters. And the only way you're going to do that is say things they like, right? And do things they like. And I'll tell you right now, there are a ton of Democrats who absolutely abhor Trump and abhor every voter he has and are unwilling to do anything that a Trump voter would like to hear or that a Trump voter would like to see, right? And frankly, I'm convinced there are a ton of Democrats that are more than willing to make sure that their nonstop mouth spouting never is interrupted. They get to say every single thing they want. They never get to hear harsh words that would hurt their delicate ears, and then lose in November 2020. They're willing to pay that price of, hear me, don't make me say anything I don't want to say, don't make me do anything I don't want to do, don't make me uncomfortable, I just want to say what I want to say, I want to use this megaphone to spout my nonsense to the world, and then I want to lose, and then the part they're not saying is, and then we lose in November 2020, because I'm unwilling to do anything to actually win an election, which means stealing Trump voters, right? And I'll tell you right now, I am convinced this is a big reason, not the only reason, not the biggest reason for the Yang blackout, is that there are people who understand Yang is a different kind of candidate, right? He is not a politician, and he will straight win Trump voters. And that, a lot of people, that disturbs a lot of people. And I'll tell you right now, it's one of the reasons I'm here, right? I was registered Republican. I had switched to vote for Yang, right? And the reason why is I'm very conservative. I did not vote for Trump, right? But I share conservative values, right? And actually, I am a conservative. I actually think that Trump is a rhino. I think he's a Republican in name only, but it's another conversation. All right. So here's the thing, right? So do we actually, do we want to win, right? And I think Yang needs to say this. He says, hey, if you want to win, you can listen to the following for the next 11 months. And I'm going to tell you what he would say for each opponent, what Yang would say for each opponent. Or do you want to win with me? And I'll give you his delivery speech for himself. But let's kick into this, right? All right. For Tom Steyer, Yang says the following. He says, for the next 11 months, do you want to hear a personal redemption narrative of a billionaire trying to make up for coal and profit prison support and then lose in November 2020? Right? Do you want to make sure that Tom Steyer gets an opportunity to have a personal redemption story? Right? This isn't and just trust and believe. Tom Steyer's running has nothing to do with him wanting political power. He looks back at his career and he goes, oh my gosh, I was coal king Tom Steyer. I really did a lot to support the coal companies and really, really forward coal in America. Oh, and also, I did a ton to support for-profit prisons. And I really, really helped that industry. And wow, I really am having a hard time sleeping. You know what I could do? I could be a climate activist and run for president and pretend that maybe I could change something, or that anybody wants me to run, or that I'm not a duplicative candidate. And oh my gosh, that would be better than any, the best sleeping pills. I could actually, put my head down with a conscience that I had tried to do something good in my life. Well, guess what? Right? And Andrew Yang could say, hey, this ain't about your personal narrative, Tom. I'm here, Andrew Yang, right? Now I'll give you Andrew Yang's delivery at the end, right? But he can just go right at him and say, do you want to listen to Tom Steyer tell his personal narrative for the next 11 months and then lose in November 2020? Well, then give your vote to Tom Steyer. But if you want to win, it's Andrew Yang or nobody, right? Yang is the only person who could beat Trump. I'm telling you that for realsies. Because he can win conservatives and the reason why is conservatives respect education. He's double Ivy League. Conservatives respect real work. He ran a real corporation as a CEO. He crushed it. He delivered profits. And he gets done what he shoots for. He is merit-driven, right? And conservatives love that, man. Yang can win Trump voters. The other thing is he likes rationality and logic, right? And he's not 100% dedicated to the Dem playbook. And, he will not blindly apply social justice. He will think, and if social justice is appropriate, he'll apply it. And Dems don't like that. They're like, oh, the social justice doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't need to be rational. It doesn't need to be paid for. All these kind of things. And Yang is different, right? He's really, really different. All right, for Pete Buttigieg, what can he say? He says, do you want to spend 11 months hearing Pete talk about policies he copied off the candidate to his left and then lose in November 2020? Then vote for Pete, right? But if you want to win, it's Andrew Yang or nobody, right? For Amy Klobuchar, all right? Now, one of the issues that Andrew Yang has is he actually has a real human heart and he has a real human mind, right? And he's honest, right? So I think this is what he would honestly say about Klobuchar, which is a little painful. You're not going to like hearing this. He's going to say, hey, do you want to spend the next 11 months hearing a heartland stalwart speak from her heart and then have a 10% chance of beating Trump and winning the presidency? Then give your vote to Amy Klobuchar. But I'm Andrew Yang, and I'll give you my percent and what I deliver in a moment, all right? But actually, Klobuchar is the only one here where I would say that he needs to acknowledge she has a chance of beating Trump. And that doesn't help him to tell people that, right? But reality is honesty has a cost, and having a real human heart and a real human mind has a cost. It means we don't get to say everything we want to say, right? We have to be honest, right? All right, so he comes up to Joe Biden. He says, listen, voters, do you want to spend the next 11 months hearing a whole lot of stories like the time Joe Biden hailed a cab to buy a fax machine, but had to ask the cabbie to make a quick stop at Woolworths to buy hard candy because the bowl on his coffee table was running low, and then lose in November 2020? Then give your vote to Joe Biden, right? But I'm Andrew Yang, and I stand for something different, right? All right. Then what would he say when he gets to Sanders? He would say, listen, do you want to spend the next 11 months hearing the greatest hits of socialism sung in Tom Waits' voice? Right? Here, I'll give you a few notes of it. Your property is not yours. It belongs to the government. We'll give you whatever we choose to give you from it. Just like the USSR or China or Venezuela. Are you tired of having private property? I'm all for socialism. Right? There you go. That's Bernie Sanders, right? And you can hear 11 months of it. If you really dig socialism, Bernie's your guy, right? If you don't like private property, he's your dude, right? If you want eminent domain to span across the nation, he's your guy. He's got you covered. But Andrew Yang doesn't, right? And with Bernie, you'll get to hear 11 months of that socialism song, right? But there's going to be a quick slam of the door in November 2020 when Trump clubs him like an Arctic explorer would club a seal, up in the snowy areas, right? Trump will wreck Bernie Sanders, and that's if Bernie Sanders makes it to November of 2020, right? Because he's got another opponent which is sitting right in the middle of his own chest, right? Bernie's got problems, right? That is it's tough for him. All right, let's keep moving on. All right, and Andrew says, hey, Bernie, socialism song for 11 months, but then you lose. Right, for Warren, what would Warren's 11 months be filled with? Andrew Yang could say, "Hey, I'm Elizabeth Warren. If you want 11 months of hearing Elizabeth Warren give you plan after plan to drag the rich to the poor, to make college free, to make business pay for a $20 trillion healthcare platform, to drop a $15 minimum wage, right?" And to shrivel and regress the huge momentum of the American charter schools and lose in November 2020, give your vote to Elizabeth Warren, right? But if you want to win, if you want to beat Trump, you need Andrew Yang, right? And here's what Andrew Yang would say about himself. He says, you vote for me, you're going to hear 11 months of unpleasant things that a significant number of Trump voters will be attracted by. But you as a Democrat are likely to not like what you hear, right? But at the end of that 11 months, which is going to be scratchy and uncomfortable like a woolly sweater, right? At the end of it, I, Andrew Yang, am going to give you a 75% chance of beating Donald Trump, of winning, right? Now, why is Scott Garibay saying a 75% chance? I'll tell you that in a minute. Let me finish what Andrew Yang would say. It says, and then after I beat Donald Trump, right, because 3 out of 4 on that roll, I'm going to get it, right? You're going to have a Democrat president for 8 years that will implement the most effective, broadest, most powerful safety net the world has ever seen through transformative economic innovation. Not only will it solidify and actually lock into place a powerful safety net for America, it will be such a shining example of success. It will probably echo into the world in the decades to come. That's Andrew Yang, right? That's what he tells people, all right? So he can say, hey, you can vote for any of this, listen to nice noises for 11 months and lose, or you can be uncomfortable with some of the things I'm going to say and do. And I'm telling you right now, if Andrew Yang is going to win, he's got to win Trump voters. And Democrats ain't going to like what he's going to say to get him. And they're not going to like what he's going to do to get it either, right? But there's a cost to win king or queen of the world. And that's what the presidency is. And it's going to cost. And it's going to be uncomfortable, right? And Dems are going to have to choose. I made my choice. I'm voting for Andrew Yang, right? But the reality is it's important. It's really important, right? Now let's talk about it. Why did I say that Andrew Yang only has a 75% chance of beating Trump? Well, again, I need to be honest with you, right? And I will tell you right now, I am a renewed man after December 10th. I was shook when it took Andrew Yang this long to get qualified. I have a really new, harrowing, frustrating, uncomfortable respect for the array of opponents that are out there trying to push Andrew Yang down and make sure that his vision and his nobility and his character and his awesomeness and his kindness and his general epic human spirit and nature are suppressed. And I am very frustrated and sad by that reality. But the reality is, when you see data and you see information and you see patterns and trends, you can't ignore them. You can't pretend they're not there, right? And man, I'm telling you, this is the Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia moment. We truly, to get Andrew Yang to the presidency, to pave that road to the White House, we are fighting the empire, man. Like, it is TIE fighters everywhere, Death Stars to the left and right, stormtroopers all over. And it's going to be really tough to get there. It really is. I wish I could tell you it's a 90% lock or a 99% lock. But I'm voting for Andrew Yang because I think he truly is he's the only person on that stage on that stage on December 19th that has even a chance of getting 1% of Trump's voters. And I really think in order to win this, you're going to need to take 15%. And I think the real key with Yang is he's uniquely positioned to bring low millions, if not 10 or 20 million evangelical votes over. And it has to do with how he has lived his life, the structure he has for his family, and specifically his merit-based achievement, right? All that is incredibly valuable and incredibly attractive to evangelicals. And I'll tell you right now, evangelicals are pulling their hair out after seeing 3.5 years of someone who clearly isn't an evangelical Christian, like, making it look like this is what an evangelical Christian looks like. And I think Andrew Yang is uniquely positioned to steal 10 to 20 million votes from Trump right from the evangelical base. That is the real key demographic to win this election. And nobody's going to talk to you about it but me, right? Everybody's telling you, oh, this is the key demographic, and this is the key demographic. No. You're going to beat Trump, you got to steal his voters. You have to steal his voters for a whole lot of reasons. And one of them is the young ain't going to show. Everybody thinks they're going to rally the young. They ain't. That is the oldest song in the book, and Dem's been singing it for 1 million years, and it never works. And guess what? It ain't going to be any different this time. The young people, there'll be a few of them. Kai Watson and all the cool people like him, they'll be there. But but ain't nobody else going to be there. Like, in mass, they ain't going to show. Right? This is going to have to get done with Trump voters. All that is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below, please. Thank you very much for letting me share these ideas with you today. And please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.